Good afternoon, class. Today we will study the chapter Money and Banking. Now, what is money? Money is defined as anything which is universally accepted as a medium of exchange. Now, before the evolution of money, the usual system of exchanging commodities was known as the barter system. Now, in barter system, a commodity was exchanged for another commodity without the use of money. Now, this system had certain difficulties or drawbacks which we are going to discuss now. The first one is lack of double coincidence of wants. Now, lack of double coincidence of wants means in barter system, if any two individuals wanted to trade with each other, both of them had to be in possession of commodities which are mutually acceptable to each one of them. Say for example, if two persons X and Y wants to trade with each other and X has surplus rice and Y has surplus wheat, then the commodities can be exchanged only if the two persons are willing to accept each other's commodities. Now, it was not very easy to find such combination of individuals who would mutually accept each other's commodities. But with the help of money, this particular difficulty could be solved because anything can be purchased and sold with the help of money. The second problem was lack of a common unit of value. Now, in barter system, a value of the commodity could be explained in terms of multiple units. Say for example, 1 kg of rice could be exchanged for 5 kg of wheat, and 1 kg of rice could also be exchanged for 10 kg of vegetables. So the value of rice could be expressed in terms of both wheat and vegetables. So there was no common unit of value in barter system. The third problem was lack of contractual or deferred payments. This is because in barter system, every transaction had to be spot transactions. So there was no scope for any contractual or deferred payment. Now, the fourth problem is the problem of storage in barter, because commodities had to be stored, which involved a huge storage cost as well as the fear of capital loss due to the natural calamities or natural disasters. Now, with that, we move on to the functions of money. As explained in the beginning, the first and the foremost function of money is it acts as a universally acceptable medium of exchange. Now, the second function is it serves as a unit of account. That means the value of all goods and services can now be expressed through a common unit, that is the monetary unit. That means if I ask you what is the valuation of your house, you can conveniently say now that the value of the house is rupees 20 lakhs. So it is explained in terms of money now. The third one is the store of value, which means money serves as an instrument of savings for the future. And the last function is the standard of deferred payments. That means after the evolution of money, we can now purchase a good or a commodity at present and pay for it in future. We now move on to the next section of the chapter, that is the forms of money. The first form of money is called the fiat money. Fiat money is the type of money which is issued on the orders of the government. It includes both the paper currency as well as the coins which are in circulation in the country. The second form of money is known as the fiduciary money. Now, fiduciary money is that type of money which is accepted as a means of exchange based on the trust between the payer and the payee. So basically it includes the checks issued by a person to another person. The third form of money is known as the full-bodied money. Now in this form of money, the commodity value is equal to the money value of the currency. Now, for example, in the British period, a 1 rupee coin was made of silver, and the value of the silver contained in the coin was equal to 1 rupee at the time of issue of those coins. So that means the commodity value, that is the value of silver contained in the coin, was also 1 rupee, and the face value of the coin was also 1 rupee. So this type of money is known as the full-bodied money. And the last type is the credit money. Now in credit money, what happens? The commodity value is much less than the money value of the currency. So for example, in the present day, paper notes. For example, you can say in a 2000 rupees note, the face value or the money value is 2000, but the value of the commodity, that is the paper along with the printing charges and all, that is much less than 2000 rupees. We now come to the money supply. Now in India, there are 4 measures of money supply, that is M1, M2, M3 and M4. But according to our syllabus, we have to study only the M1. We have to study the M1 form of money supply, which includes currency in circulation plus the demand deposits with the commercial banks, that is the checkable deposits that we keep in the commercial banks, and it also includes the other deposits with the RBI. Now what are these other deposits with RBI? It may include the demand deposits of financial institutions such as NABARD. Then it may also include the demand deposits of foreign central banks and foreign securities, and also the deposits of International Monetary Fund or the World Bank. So basically M1 is therefore currency in circulation plus the demand deposits with the commercial banks and the other deposits with RBI. Now we come to the last portion of the chapter on money, that is who supplies money in the economy. Now basically there are 3 sources of money supply in the country. The first and the primary source is the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India issues all currency that is circulated in the country based on the system of minimum reserve system. Now by minimum reserve system, you must understand that RBI issues all currency against a security of rupees 200 crores, which includes foreign currency and foreign bonds or securities. Out of this 200 crores, rupees 115 crore should be in terms of gold, right? Now this is the first source of money supply, that is the RBI. The second source is the commercial banks. Now you must understand that commercial banks do not have the power like the RBI to issue currency, but it can create credit or currency in circulation, which we will be studying in a later unit of the chapter, that is called credit creation by commercial banks. And the third source is the government. That means the Ministry of Finance issues 1 rupee currency note and all the coins in circulation of all denominations in the country. So with this, we complete the portion on money, and later on we will be starting with the next unit of the chapter, that is banking.